Hey guys, it's Hannah and welcome back to the Dyslexic Reader and welcome to a late and rushed November wrap up. You guys, I am so busy and stressed right now. It's not even worth talking about. But I wanted to give you guys a wrap up because I think you deserve that much. So I'm going to show you the books that I have read in November and just sort of briefly summarize and then give like a couple of my thoughts on them. The first two books of the month I have already talked about, Badgerlands and The Secret Teacher. These were both my reads for non-fiction November and I wrapped them up separately because I TBR'd them separately. So I will link that up in the cards and then the description and you can go and check it out if you're interested in my thoughts on these two. The first fiction book I read this month was I finally got round to The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I am still confused by this book. It literally takes place over 3 days and it's like a 17-year-old guy who's been kicked out of school, but he doesn't want to go home and tell his parents he's been kicked out of school and he doesn't want to stay in the school dorms. So he just takes all the money he has and spends 3 days in New York. He doesn't really do anything. Nothing really happens. And that's pretty much it. It's very character driven, which I normally am not a character driven person, but it's very character driven. And I don't know, I'm still in conflict with this book. The writing style for me was hard to get through, but that's because it was holding the main characters, like that's how he talked, which was really weird. Like it felt like a real personal conversation. And also Holden was the most hateable character I think in nearly all of literature. Like I really disliked him, and yet I saw parts of myself in him, and I think everyone could see parts of themselves in him, which was really weird for me, and I still cannot collect my thoughts on this book. So I think I might have to reread this in a couple of months and sort of try again, because it really confused me and I can't decide whether I despised it or loved it. So I gave it a 3-star right down the middle because I can't decide, but hopefully I'll reread it and decide next year. The second book I read was The Candleman by Alex Scarrow. I have read only one other Alex Scarrow book, which was October Skies. Done a full video review of that, I'll link that as well. And I gave it a 5-star, and I give this a 5-star. I love Alex Scarrow's writing. He has done a whole series that's sort of like YA sci-fi, but his standalones are all adult thrillers, and they're so fast-paced, they're so gripping, they're so well written. I just cannot put them down, and I just absolutely fly through them. They have short chapters with help, and both of them that I have read through have like 2 different time periods that you're sort of flipping back and forth between, not necessarily modern day and past. It could be 2 different historical periods, but this one takes place, start off in the Titanic, and there's 2 people who have decided for different reasons they're not going to try and get off and get on a lifeboat. They're just going to go down with the ship, and the man tells the woman that he has a terrible secret. He knew Jack the Ripper. And then it goes into the tale about Jack the Ripper and who Jack the Ripper was. I thought the mystery tied so well together. It was emotional at the end, which is rare for me, especially in thrillers, but I thought the ending was so perfect. I didn't see it coming. And that's the great thing about his reads. Not only are they gripping and really enjoyable and really quick reads, but I'm a predictor of thriller endings. I nearly always get it right. And I have never guessed all the twists and turns in his books. You get the majority of it. You can sense what's coming, but not all the totally wee twists. And the ending caught me so off guard and was so good. And the only thing that I would say with downfall was I know a lot about Jack the Ripper, and it was very truthful to what actually happened, which in one way was fabulous, but the other way I knew who was going to get killed and who wasn't, because I knew the names of Jack the Ripper's victims, and the names are exactly the same in everything in this. But she didn't really wreck the story. It sort of gave it an authenticity and like the theory, I guess, whereas he's filled in the gaps or sort of make it more plausible. But I would recommend, if you're reading this and you don't know a lot about Jack the Ripper, don't go looking into it until you finish the book, because it might give some things away. But 5 stars, definitely recommend Alex Scarrow to anyone who loves mysteries, thrillers, historical fiction. Was really, really good. Then I reread Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and I was pleasantly surprised. Order of the Phoenix was always my least favourite Harry Potter, and this time round I really, really enjoyed it. I don't know what clicked this time. Maybe having reread the series 2 or 3 times, it's sort of, I don't know, the context and like the wee nuances with what was going on in the foreshadowing maybe meant more to me. I'm not sure. But I really, really enjoyed this. I think it's the 3rd time I've read Order of the Phoenix, so yeah. I enjoyed it more than my other past 2 times reading it, which was really enjoyable. And because I think it's my least favourite, so I've reread it the least out of all the books. So I had forgotten like all the little details, which was nice to revisit again. And it has put me in the mood to reread 6 and 7 in the new year, which might be quite fun. And my final read of the month, which I officially, I guess, finished on the 1st of December, but I'm counting that as a November read, was The Seven Sisters by Lucinda Riley. This was recommended by Hannah Tay. I'll link her channel down below. And I am still confused by this book, and not in the same way as Catcher in the Rye. The concept of this and the sort of the thoughts confuse me. But I'm confused on my own thoughts about this book. The plot wasn't confusing. It takes place in like 2 different time periods. Modern day, there are these adopted girls. They all come from different backgrounds, and their adoptive father dies. They're all grown up now. Their adoptive father dies, and he leaves them each a clue to their past. And we follow, in this book, there's a whole series that follows the different sisters, but this first book follows the eldest sister, and she goes looking in her past. And then the secondary story, I guess, takes place in Brazil in 1920s and follows a young girl who is destined to be married to a man she doesn't love. I loved the modern day half of the story. I like the characters, I like the plot, I like the whole idea of it. And I actually enjoyed the romance. Can you guys believe it? I enjoyed a romance. This piece of hair is going wild. I enjoyed the romance in a book. It was a slow burner. It was more of a friendship that just slowly developed, and it felt completely natural, and it wasn't like a main thing in the story. I really, really enjoyed it. The historical part of the story, I enjoyed. I felt for the characters. I felt it was too long. The historical bit was too long. I felt like when I was reading it, there is no need for all this detail. It didn't really grip me, and it didn't really want me to pick up the book and read on. But at the end, it all tied together really, really nicely. And all the little details that I thought were important actually came together to make a really beautiful ending. And I didn't see the ending coming. There's a bit of a cliffhanger twist to the ending as well. And I did enjoy how it all came together at the end, but it still doesn't excuse all of this that I felt bored through. And now I can appreciate it more because at the end, it all came together. So I do feel like satisfied by it, but I can't erase the memory of feeling slightly bored when I read it. I think I'm going to give it a 4 stars, but I'm not sure if I'm going to continue on in the series. And part of the other thing was, if you watch my channel and you watch my Sunday Novelty Chats video, where at the start I always update you on my reading progress through the week, it took me 3 weeks to read this book and nothing else. And that wasn't because I was overly busy and didn't have time to pick it up. Like, it took me an age, you guys. How many? It's like 700 pages. But it took me like 3 weeks. It took me like nearly 4 times as long as it did to read Harry Potter. Like, this took me 4 times longer than this. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, I was reading it the same amount, but like every page just seemed to take ages out of me. Like, I'd be reading for like an hour and I'd look down and I'd read like 20 pages. So I don't know what it was about the book, but I think that possibly put me off as well. So I think I'm going to give it a 4 stars. I'm still a bit conflicted by it. and then I'm not sure if I see the second one at the library. I put this on hold at the library, so this is a library edition because Hannah recommended it so much. I might, if I see it, I don't think I'll put it on hold at the library, but I think if I ever come across the second one, I might pick it up and just give it a go. So that is my November reading stack. I forgot it was so much. It took me so long to read The Seven Sisters that I felt like I was having a really bad reading month, but I had a really good start to the month. So I read like these 3 books in a week, and then in like a week I read these 2, so it took like 3 weeks to read that one, but we'll go over that. So I actually done quite well. I'm quite pleased with myself. If you haven't heard, I'm concentrating mostly on rereads in December, so I think that will be quite interesting, and so far it's going pretty good. But as I said, I'm super stressed and super busy right now for a whole dose of reasons, so I'm gonna love yous and leave yous. I hope you're all happy, I hope you're all healthy, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.